Look at
He's
him.
so cute. Look at she's smiling.
God damn it, she's so goddamn adorable.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm gonna take a picture of this puppo.
Is this gonna be the cover for?
It very well could be. That is great.
You're so smiley all the time.
Yeah. If depending on how this episode will go, what we'll use for the background. If you're watching it through YouTube, there's a picture on screen right now of this adorable puppy that we got. I guess I don't have.
You got a puppy.
It's mine now. But yeah, how's it going, everyone? It's just Nick, just me, just PQ again. But I decided to do a double feature, if you will, with the lovely Kristen Powell talking about more stuff. You had a lovely conversation about his politics and policing stuff, which I learned quite a bit. And if you're interested in any of that from a kind of an inside perspective, I go suggest watching that. It's a very interesting one. But without further ado, we're going to be talking about something a little bit more fluffier, something a little bit more, I'd say, cuter.
Not necessarily lighter.
Yeah, it depends on how much you feed them.
These
I guess.
are some heavy dogs. Okay.
Got a hard. Look how difficult this dog is. This dog has a hard life. Gosh darn. As we do with every episode, we like to say what we've been flicking our bics to. So, Kristen, I know we just got done recording. What else have you been super into lately? Music?
Oh, okay. This is not a new thing, but I recently rediscovered the library.
Say that slower.
I recently rediscovered the public library.
The library.
Have you ever heard of one?
I think I've heard about it in school or something somewhere.
Sounds slightly familiar. Yes.
Okay.
It was me. I did it. I found it. It is situated a couple miles away, right in the middle of an obvious location, in the middle of the street, clearly. And they'll just let you stroll right on in there.
Really?
And then there's these things, they're books. I remember you've seen those before. Crazy. I didn't know they made those anymore. And I signed myself up for a library card, and
those still actually, do those really still exist?
Yeah, I got an LA public library card.
Wow.
And I was a giddy child signing up for it, and the librarian was not amused. I was like, wow, I haven't had one of these in ages. The librarian was like, please go away.
God, I would imagine that'd be such a hard job to because there's some really passionate just book lovers and library people that just really love just the medium, and just to seeing it die. Yeah. That's pretty goddamn rough. It's gotta
be hard, yeah. And so what I like about this library too, and what I'm finding is not only is it like a place with a lot of books in it, they have a lot of community events. They've got like a monthly poetry thing where you can come in and do a piece of poetry, and I haven't gone, but I'm really curious who goes.
Okay. Yeah.
There's free movie nights.
Ooh.
There's education things. There's there's one about how to be supportive of family members with mental health issues.
Really?
Yeah, and I thought that was great, right? Like, where else are you going to find those resources just in front of your face? So I haven't been able to really utilize all of those yet. Mostly I've just had a chance to check out books for free, which is a cool thing. But I'm starting to just explore the resources a little bit more, because their libraries are kind of like this dying breed. It's interesting to how comprehensive their websites are, how many ebooks there are, how many online resources, to kind of compensate for that, so that the library and its ultimate goal really stays around. So that's probably what I've been the most excited about in the last month or two.
Yeah. I don't know. Recently, the word library has kind of gotten a bad taste in my mouth. Nobody knows on the podcast. I listen to the podcast, but Newman Stripway got recently bought out, and I won't go too far into details. But the people that are buying it now, they're holding their applications at the Glenwood Library, which is a really random place to have it. So Yeah, just I
Try
don't
to
know.
get people to walk into the library, I guess.
I guess like out of all the places, the library.
Wow. I will admit the Glenwood Public Library I love. I got like a weird nostalgia for. I think part of it is I love old houses, and that one.
Yeah, that's a great
that one is
building.
about to fall. I'm about to fall through the floor for sure. But also, yeah, I don't know. There's just something like really ancient feeling.
Yeah.
About it.
90s ancient feeling.
And right. That's it. Just the 90s. But I feel good about it. I'm a big fan.
There's some movies nowadays that are like with like a 90s setting, calling it period pieces.
Really?
Those exist.
Period
90s
pieces.
are now considered a period piece
It's
movie.
over.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. So cool. Then what kind of cool books have you been checking out?
I mean, I've been checking out a lot of books to study for the LSAT.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's nice to just be able to access free textbooks. But I've also, they have like a shelf with bestsellers and new books that have come out.
Really?
And so every now and then I'll pick up a couple books and try to like read them before I get fines on them, which, just depends on the day really. But it's nice. It's good. And, I think sometimes because you do have to turn the book back in soon, it kind of keeps you...
Kind of gives you a reason
like,
to
dude,
finish
read it already.
Yeah.
So it's been a nice new resource to be exploring, and I get pretty excited about it. I go probably like once a week.
Now, are you a speed reader?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I can't do that like you and Garrett. I know Garrett's like he zips through books super fast. Like if I'm reading a book, like I'm reading it like as if someone's talking to me at that pace. Which I remember having a conversation with Garrett saying like that's how I read, and he's like, dude, that's so slow.
That's hard. I mean, and it depends what you want from a book, right? There's a lot of books where I just, you can read and process things faster than you can pronounce them in your head.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to consume the most information as quickly as possible. And so speed reading works for me. But every now and then I'll read like it's a conversation, depending on what I'm trying to get through, right?
Yeah. I feel like for me it's like I want to be super invested in this book, like be immersed in it. So like the best way for me to do that is like actually putting myself in that position and not speed reading like if someone's like talking to someone, like actually this would have the pace of the conversation would go. So that's kind of how I get into books. Like I couldn't speed read just because I don't know. I feel like I miss crucial information, and even sometimes like I read like a couple sentences and then like I won't understand it completely.
Right.
Then I'll like go back and reread that just to make sure I have it. That happens to me all the freaking time.
Right, yeah. Yeah, books are a hard one, and a lot of people aren't readers, and so it's
That's
that
tough.
and the
It's
internet.
really tough.
Libraries are gonna go out of style, but I'm here to bring them back.
I mean, I definitely want libraries to still exist because I'm not much of a reader. But I just like the idea of books having like a physical material thing.
Yeah.
And having someone to curate all that knowledge and that information and the
the
stories there too. Just you gotta keep that alive.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
What about you?
I've been kind of I've been like all over the place with things I've been really interested in. But being in the fall time now, I know this is a subject that you have no desire at all. But this is the time where I kind of start thinking about going to nerd conventions. I go to one in Omaha called NebraskaCon every year. This will be like my 10th anniversary of the convention, and it's going anywhere for like consecutively for 10 years is pretty crazy. So this is definitely the time where I start watching a lot of Japanese cartoons and just a bunch of other stuff. But this time I want to give back to the community, and I want to give my own panel because I'm running a panel by myself. So
Nice.
that's kind of scary. It's crazy too because like when I signed up for it, they're like, what suggested hours do you want for your panel to show? I don't exactly remember what I said, but I got it, the desired time, which was 10 in the morning on Saturday. So for most weekend conventions, Saturday is the bigger day. And it being at 10 a.m., I'm realizing like that's a prime time
There's gonna be a lot of people
slot.
there. Yeah.
So I was gonna just like my initial impression was like, I'm just gonna go and write a quick script and be good because I can get away with that on just based on my charisma and like my speech skills. But now I'm like, there's gonna be actually a lot of people
Yeah.
gonna be. So now I'm like getting a little bit nervous.
You never know
about
who's
it.
gonna be there.
Yeah. So voice crack. So that shows how much.
Yeah, someone's gonna be there.
Oh yeah. So it's a weird thing, and I've been like really missing that convention. Like right before I came to LA. My jaw. I was just watching so many videos about past conventions because someone's already like always filming something. So I was just like going through a catalog, just like, oh, I wanna be there right now. No.
Coming up, better get ready.
Yeah. Not much time left. Like
When is that?
it's less than a month now, like 3 weeks. So I gotta get my ass in gear about that. Essentially, that con is known as like a party con. So it's just like there's a lot of drinking and partying. Like that's definitely a convention where you day drink, walk around, and just people watch. Just seeing the really weird people that go to these kinds of things. These are the people that. And I love them because technically, these are my people. As much as I do not like saying that, but these are the people that don't go outside ever. That they don't really know how to socialize with the rest of the world. Yeah, and like it's just crazy because these people these are like the people that got bullied, pushed around at a younger age, and sure they may be weird and stuff, but like they're people too, and. It's some of these conventions, like, this is why I like these nerd conventions so much. For some of these people, they don't have any friends or socialize much in the real world, like on the internet and stuff like that. So this is a place where, like, maybe once a year they can, like, actually be themselves.
And feel super comfortable.
And feel super comfortable.
And be excited about the things that they actually want to be
exactly,
excited about.
like, share things that they're passionate and interested in. And as much as some of these people are super weird and smelly and I don't want to be around, I can't take that away from them. Like, that is great. That's awesome for them to be, just out and about, and just the look on people's faces. They're just generally happy to be here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's
awesome.
I love conventions like that. So yeah, I'm gonna be way drunk for those 3 days. So be a good time. I wonder if I'll get drunk before the panel. That could be
at 10 a.m.
Yeah.
How many mimosas to get you started?
Seeing as like how I got a hangover after 2 drinks as I've been dieting and haven't been drinking alcohol, that's gonna be rough. Like, just going ham, like, immediately. That might not be a good idea.
You know how it goes?
Jeez. So anyways, enough about talking about what we're flicking our bigs to. We're here to talk about that. Sneezing!
For viewers at home, not in the studio, Nick and I are surrounding a small little yellow dog with a lot of love. Yellow? I don't know what color this dog is.
I'd say, that's like a blonde,
nice
golden
little
yellow.
blondie thing.
Do you know what breed this dog is? I don't.
My roommate said she was a Sheltie.
Sheltie?
Yeah, Sheltie.
Sheltie.
She's fun. I like her. I don't know. She hated us for the first 3 days. It warmed up in the last 20 minutes, if we're being honest. And it's probably because we're petting her stomach. But you take the love you can get, okay? Mm-hmm. And this is it. This is the one we have right now.
So specifically, we're going to be talking about foster dogs, just foster animals in general. So for starters, you are very experienced with foster dogs. How many did you say you have parented?
In the last 2 years since moving to Los Angeles, I have had 14 dogs.
14 dogs.
14.
So, I mean, I know the implication of foster dog is that... Bless you.
Bless you.
Yeah, he's dummy. But I know the implication of foster is, like, you just take care of them and eventually they get adopted, hopefully. Where exactly do you find these dogs? Do you, like, go to shelters or just find, like, I'm giving up my dog for adoption, I need to move out of the town, so I need someone to watch these. Where do you find these animals?
So normally I just walk up and down the street. I open doors that look unlocked, and I just take any dog I see.
You're like a town crier with the bell and everything.
Yeah. It's kind of like a Pied Piper-esque thing. I walk outside with my dog whistle, and then they just come running after me, and I assume that means that they want to hang out with me from now on. But in reality, when I first moved here, I really wanted to figure out how to get my dog fix. Not get my dog fixed, but how to spend time with dogs, right?
Okay.
It came off weird.
Want
to get my dog fixed.
Okay, I'm following you so far.
No, so
Continue.
I've grown up with dogs, but now I'm in an apartment, and I'm busy. I don't unfortunately have enough time to be around and have a dog full time. Because I travel a lot and I'm out of town, it just wouldn't make a lot of sense. But I do really love having dogs around. And so what I found is that, you can go to a local adoption center or something and you can volunteer to clean out their kennels and drive them to vet appointments and things like that. Mm-hmm. And I was like, you know what, that's some FaceTime with dogs. I'm going to do it. And so I started doing that, first. And eventually they were saying, if you wanted to keep one over the weekend, you could totally do that.
Oh, wow.
Or if you wanted to keep them longer, that's actually a thing we do, and it's called fostering dogs, which I didn't know was a thing.
Okay.
Ultimately, what happens is you get paired with a dog that is in specifically an adoption agency. And it sounds very unnecessarily complicated for dogs, but ultimately, there's such things as a dog shelter, right, where all the dogs go, and then there's these agencies. The one that I work with is called Wags and Walks. They go around to different shelters in the area and they do temperament tests with the dogs. They try to identify which dogs are healthy, which dogs are sick, and then they pull a certain number of dogs on a weekly basis. They do this with the intent of figuring out, we're not taking just any dogs, but dogs that definitely could be in homes and could be in homes soon, right?
Right, yeah.
And trying to figure out how do we save them and get them just homed as quickly as possible. That's their thing, is we want to get as many dogs into homes as possible and in livable situations. If we know that this dog is going to tear things up all over the place, probably not the dog that we want to pull right now, unless somebody's really ready for that.
Yeah.
But mostly, otherwise what happens is you get a dog that somebody gets and then they're like, this is unlivable, and the dog goes back into the shelter. So what they're trying to do is create as many success stories as possible in homing animals.
How many types of, what kind of breeds have you looked after?
So the breeds are all over the place. The smallest dog I've had was 4 pounds.
Oh, wow.
And that was a pit bull puppy. So ultimately, please see up there for reference. Ultimately, the dog will be 65, 70 pounds. But we got these twin puppies when they were newborns.
Yeah.
And so they're 4 and 6 pounds. And
okay.
So we just watched them for a couple weeks. They doubled in size over those couple of weeks. Ultimately they'll be larger pit breeds. We've had some Chihuahuas, some small poodle sizes. We had a Chiweenie last week. That was, I guess, Chihuahua and Dachshund, really sweet. And then we have some larger dogs. We've had Rottweilers, various pit mixes, Rhodesian Ridgeback. I think the largest weight of a dog was 120 pounds or something.
Okay.
So basically, the size ranges. Our apartment doesn't have breed restrictions, and our landlord's kind enough to let us have dogs for a few weeks at a time.
That's super cool.
Yeah, and so basically it's just if there's an issue, we're liable, not the landlord.
Yeah.
Whatever, it's worth it. And then obviously we're backed by the shelter, by the adoption agency, in case there was ever an issue.
You're basically a cool aunt.
I'm just a good babysitter.
For if these dogs were your siblings kid that you're looking at, you're pretty much just a cool aunt, just you can come over to my place, I'll spoil you and everything.
Absolutely.
And then someone else can go deal with the crap.
So here's what the process looks like, right? So I get an email weekly that says, we have this many dogs and these types of breeds. Is anybody available to foster?
Oh, really?
If you are available and you're available for those days, you email them back and you coordinate a time to come by and pick up a dog. I show up, I get a dog, I meet them, I pet them and play with them for a few minutes outside so they get to know you, and then I get all the supplies because they supply everything for you.
Yeah.
I put it in the car and I put the dog in the car. Before turning on the car, I turn around and I say, "Hello, dog. Nice to have you here. You will not be here permanently. We're just friends." And I always do it. I
see
think
where
it's
this is
important
going.
to set the tone that it matters that
establish a relationship.
We have some sort of boundary, because people always ask, how do you foster a dog and then let them leave in a few weeks? You just have to know that it's not your dog, right? So this dog that's sitting between us right now we're just babysitting somebody else's dog, and if I know that for the next 4 days, and I'm not sad when she leaves because we just had a chance to hang out with a cool dog for a few days, and that's it. And so that's kind of the kind of our approach as we try to foster is saying we love these dogs, but we, for obvious reasons, we have to have boundaries on it so that it's not heartbreaking when they go off on their separate ways.
So the sentence that you say before you whisk the dog away, it sounds very scripted, is the way I want to put it. So is that something that they tell you?
No, this is me. It's only because I didn't do it one time.
Oh.
And it broke my heart. I think so. The first couple of dogs I had were for they were short-term foster, so I only had them for 4 or 5 days. Usually I try to get dogs for 2 weeks at a time, 1 to 2 weeks. That way it's enough time to, get them adjusted and spend some time with them. But usually I travel every 2 or 3 weeks, and so doesn't make sense to have a dog longer than that.
She jumped off the bed and okay, she's lying down.
Our visitor is offended. Bye. Nice talking to you. Bye. Anyway, so the third dog I had was a pit bull named Boots. Boots is like one of my favorite dogs I've ever met, and so they called me and they were like, hey, we have a foster and we're thinking it'd be really good for you. Forewarning, they've been super abused and they don't want anyone near them. But we think that we think this could turn around, so we really wanted to rescue them because the dog is still sweet. So I show up to meet the dog. The dog is cowering in a corner in the back of this yard. Cigarette burns, cuts on like their arms
that doesn't
and legs.
Make any sense.
Real beat up, right? And I was like, I don't know if I can do this. This dog looks real rough, right? And the dog was like panting and trying to be really small, didn't want to be touched, didn't want anybody near it. And I was like, somehow I got to get you into my house and we got to figure this out. About an hour later, I finally got him into the car. It took so long. It took 2 or 3 women trying to like carry him. And there's a moment when you're picking up a strange dog and you're like, are you going to attack my face?
Yeah,
I don't know. But he didn't. And he was just scared. And so we put him in the car. And because there was so much going on, I just drove him home. But I didn't stop. I didn't turn around and say, we're not going to be here forever. I was like, I'm really sorry for whatever happened. I won't hurt you. Let's go back to my house and hang out. So we got here. And I cannot get him up the stairs.
Oh, okay.
He's like too scared. So he's just sitting at the bottom of the stairs. And I was like, well, let me try to make you at home. And so I just sit down too. And I'm like, we're just going to hang out here for a while and see if we can like get you to go up the stairs. And so I sat down for 10 or 15 minutes. And I tried to get him up the stairs. He wouldn't move. Then sit down again and wait. And then you stand up, try to do it again. After an hour, I was like, well, it's dark out and we can't live in here. Like at the bottom of my staircase. All my neighbors have walked by. Everyone thinks I'm an insane person and they're not wrong. And so I was like, well, Boots, I'm going to have to carry you up the stairs. So there I am with like dog food and his gate. And I pick him up. He's like at least 70 to 80 pounds.
Wow.
I'm like hoisting him over my shoulder a little bit. And I have to carry him up my stairs to my door. And he is just like, what is this life that I've signed up for? I get him inside and he like sits down and he just, at that time, we didn't have all of the furniture that we have in our house now. We had a blow up air mattress. Fold couch, so it was a bed and then it would fold in like weird in shape into the couch. So bizarre. And one small chair, and that was it. It was really, we were really new to living here. So the dog walks in, looks at me. I like put a dog bed down for them, and then they go and they sit in one of the corners of the house, but the couch is on the opposing corner, and they just like look at me and they just like lay down. And, like, he's not angry. He just looks really scared. Right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, I'm going to let you do your thing. I'm going to go make dinner. I'm going to whatever. And I like come in and check in on you a few times. And I'll try to sit by you. He doesn't want me to sit by him. He keeps moving away when I try to sit by him. I sit over like far away from him and I try to get him to come over. I try to do food. I try to do anything. He just like won't move. And I was like, well, I'm just going to like give you some time. Right.
Yeah.
So I do that. And then I eventually am like laying on the couch and I was like, I'll just sleep here. That way there's like a dog. That way I'm near you. And you decide to like wake up with the pack or something. Rachel, my roommate, comes home. The dog looks up, looks at her, looks at me, stands up, and then walks over and lays down next to me.
Aww.
And I was like, okay, I can work with this. This is something. And the dog was sweet, right? This is a kind of a bigger dog, just black and kind of husky and little white paws. Thus the name Boots.
Okay.
So Boots comes in, and this dog is eating plastic. Excuse me.
Folks out there, don't let your dogs eat plastic.
Don't let your dogs eat plastic. Sorry. So I get the dog, and that's kind of like how the rest of the day ends. And then I have a kennel for them, right? There's a rule that if you have these like random dogs, you should always put them in a kennel because you don't know what they're going to do when you leave. Like, they could be the most docile dog. The minute you walk out, they like go ham on the house. So for the first couple of days, I was really good at leaving him in the kennel when I went to work. And to come home and open the gate, he wouldn't get out. I'd walk away. He'd go and he'd sit in a corner. Nothing else. Every time I walked away, he'd poop or pee inside the house. And he would not go outside. That was the thing about him, is there was nothing in the world you could do to get him to go outside, which means that he would just keep peeing in the middle of my floor. And I was getting so frustrated, but I was like, why are you so scared of the outside? And so I call the trainer. This goes on for like 3 or 4 days, and I call the trainer. I was like, I'm having this problem. I don't know what to do. And they have like dog trainers that they set you up with. And so they set me up with this dog trainer who he basically coaches me how to like dog parent or train this dog to go outside. And he says, basically, this dog has been so traumatized by something outside, you have to build up sort of the scenario, this experience, so that they're outside only long enough to realize that it's safe, and then take them back inside again.
Okay,
right?
interesting.
And so the idea was, you open the door, you get a leash, you say, we're going for a walk, and you put the leash on the dog. And then you close the door, you take the leash off, and you go sit down.
Really?
And then 10 minutes later, you open the door again, say, we're going for a walk, you put the leash back on, and you try to bring him to the door. If you get to the door, you wait for a couple seconds, then you close the door, you take off the leash, you go back, sit down. What you're trying to do is make every step of the process no longer scary. And
Okay,
you're like,
I get it now.
So that the dog is always like, oh, well, I was outside for 10 seconds, nothing bad happened.
Okay.
We'll be okay next time, right? So you're trying to retrain them in a situation and tell you, like, this is actually going to be a safe situation to be in. So the next step was that I have a little landing outside my door, right? So the next step was to bring him out to the landing, then down the 3 steps to the longer hall path. And that process of taking him out to the landing, down the stairs into the hall path, takes about an hour and a half to retrain him on.
Really?
Basically, yeah. And so you go outside, you take 2 steps, you'd sit down, you'd wait a couple minutes, you go back inside. And the key was, you're never outside long enough to scare him. Okay. I got him outside one time, and I dragged him down the stairs, and he got so spooked. And then I was like, I'm never getting outside again, because it was a scary experience. And so instead, you have to like slowly build up the dog's confidence before you could get them to go outside again. Okay. So we did that for a few days. In that time, in that process, that's because that takes hours of doing. The dog just keeps peeing in my house because there's not enough time for the dog to pee outside. He never gets downstairs. So you're like, this weird balance of being like, this is kind of a victory, but also our house smells terrible right now, and you cannot seem to get the smell to go away. But we tried, and so then he does that for a few days, and he's doing a pretty good job, and we finally get him to go down the stairs part of the way. Awesome. And we're like, okay, progress. And he pees on the stairs, and we're like, okay, great, that wasn't in our house. It's a victory. Sorry, neighbors, we'll clean it up.
That's a win for us.
So then that day, I leave to go to work, and my roommate is thinking, well, the dog is calm. The dog seems fine. I'm just going to leave him out. He shouldn't be a problem, right? Okay. Seems reasonable. The dog hasn't moved in days, right? In between, right? So I'll bet these moments when I've been able to take Boots all the way down the stairs and back up. Once we come back inside, he goes back to his one corner of the room and lays there, and still doesn't want to be touched, doesn't want to be played with. It's not like he comes in and has energy afterwards. He goes back and he lays down, because that was a really exhausting process for a dog who's been really traumatized, right? So that's basically where we stop. Then I leave for the day. My roommate leaves for the day, leaves the dog out. I come home that day to a massacre in my house. This dog has delicately taken everything out of the recycling and strewn it across the floor, delicately taken things from the trash and just thrown everything everywhere, has like eaten a book, has my favorite, has TP'd the house. And I mean, just slowly, I think, I've never been able to figure this out. Has like, the way I picture it is they took one piece and lightly walked around the house with it. Because it's just one neat roll all over the house. Like they perfectly TP'd the home on purpose. I don't know what he was thinking. He then goes into the closet, eats all of the fruit snacks, just one package after another.
Okay.
And then he finds the vegetable oil, carries that over to our blow-up couch, and opens it on the couch. My favorite part about the vegetable oil is that he so considerately opened it on the air mattress and didn't ruin our floors. We obviously had to throw away the air mattress couch soon after that experience, but we did have, he didn't ruin our floors. And I also don't know why he wanted vegetable oil so damn bad, but
this seems like tactical. This seems planned.
This seems
like
intentional. This makes me think someone broke into my house. Also,
that's ridiculous.
And I called my roommate and I said, "What did you do to the house? Because there's no way the dog did this. Like, there's no way this is what happened while I was gone for 6 hours." And there's Boots in the corner, laying down in the same spot. Also, there's poop in the middle of the room because, of course, the dog won't go outside. and I had this moment where I was like, I was never angry. I was definitely in shock for a moment, like, what has happened to my house? But when I opened the door, the dog looked so scared. Oh. And I was like, oh, this dog thinks I'm about to beat him up, like, because this is what he's so used to. So then I was like, oh, well, we're just going to have to clean this up and start over. And so then I just, like, went through the house and methodically collected my TP'd items and put everything in the trash and took it outside and was like, well, we have got to figure this out. The dog then continues to just like lay in the corner for the next day. And at one point I'm just like sitting next to him, like on the phone with my mom in tears, being like, there's no way I can't fix this dog. Aww. Right? Like there's, and then I call the foster people and I was like, I don't know how to fix this dog. They're like, talk to the trainer again. So I call the trainer and he's like, you can fix this dog. We can figure this out. So we do this for another week, and every day I slowly scoot like the dog a little farther down the stairs until we're at the base of the stairs. Uh-huh. And one night we get to the base of the stairs, and this dad and his toddler walk by, and Boots stops in his tracks, looks at the dad and the toddler like he's never seen a mini person before, and then they walk by all the way, and so they're out of like sight from like one end to the other. And then he runs down the stairs and just stares. What? And he just watches the kid for so long. Like he's just has no idea what what a little baby looks like. Like he's just seeing something new for the first time, and he just stared for so long. And then at that point, he was on the street, right? So at this point, he had gotten safe enough down the street until he felt like he had a chance to be curious and like wonder what's around the corner.
That's amazing.
So then it's like 10 p.m. on like a weeknight and we go for a run. We're just running up and down the street. And I'm ecstatic because this dog is just like so excited. Mm-hmm. And this dog is like wagging his tail and just like running, like so excited about the whole thing. And then he never pooped in my house again. and then he would go outside for walks. And then eventually I could take him to work. And he just like went to work with me and then like laid down on the floor by my office because I could take dogs to work sometimes. Cool. Yeah. And he just had like a really, Summer.
What you doing?
Don't chew on your paws. Don't do it. You're gonna have to cut that part out, hopefully. No. Sorry, this dog is chewing on their feet. And so then and so we did that for about 2 or 3 weeks. We took the dog out for a run on this trail by my house, and the dog just loved everything. Like Boots was just so excited, and then Boots slept at the foot of my bed, and just Boots would follow me around the house. He was comfortable. Was one day we put him in a cutoff t-shirt, and we told him he was beautiful, and he wore it for the rest of the night. Like we had a lot of fun with the dog, and the dog felt really comfortable. That's great. And then this opportunity came up for this woman who had a lot of rescue dogs to adopt the dog. And Boots could have a yard and be around other dogs and be like with this woman who worked full time at home. And so I got to bring it back and brought him into the agency, the adoption agency. And they were like, this is not the dog we gave you. Like, this dog does not look like the same at all. I have a picture somewhere I could show you of just this like before and after transformation. I'm sure you've seen those of just this dog like had it was less than it had enough time for all of its like wounds to heal. And mostly that it just like didn't look scared anymore. Just
looks a little bit happy, a little bit more perky.
It looks so much better. It looks so much healthier. And so that was like the most like groundbreaking success story for me. Then the rescue dogs, a lot of the dogs I've had since have been like, some of them have some of those trauma backgrounds and some of them are just like fresh off the boat puppies.
Yeah.
But for those ones, those are always my favorite because it doesn't take long for dogs to like forgive and get over things like that. But it also mirrors really well to how people are. Yeah. That like people go through traumas all over the place that really wipe them out and make them like so that they're just tired and taken out of the game, and that's totally fine because like bodies have to go through a lot and brains have to go through a lot. It's an exhausting process. And when people have been hurt in some sort of capacity, like Boots has, or like people have been hurt in like bad relationships or whatever, you do have to like put that sort of effort to show people that whatever you're offering is a safe option, environment, right? Like this is a safe landing. Yeah. Also, the stairs are safe, and like break it down that specific that all of these actions from here on out are only going to be safe, and that's like how we're going to approach the situation from now on. So I think I love fostering dogs because because they're not far off from people, and because I get such like specific life like realizations from them. Like you could write a book about some of these like learning how like understanding how trauma works because of working with rescue dogs, or understanding how like these values that make you a better, I guess like with foster dogs, I feel like I'm like trying to like steward this like thing that's in my home, like really it's not serve it, but like be like create a safe space and be kind,
guided, and teach you to grow and learn,
nurture, right? Nurture. Do this whole thing. And there is no reason any of your other relationships aren't like this. Like you are a steward in your relationships, and you should figure out how to respond to people and be like able to acknowledge that like this world is hard and people have seen some things, and so creating safe environments for people to like reconcile those and heal and also find new relationships is really powerful, because then it gives Boots the opportunity to walk outside and be curious
look at small humans
and be excited, right? And feel like, you know what, I have an opportunity to wonder what else is around the corner. And like it's really important that people feel the same way, that they can be excited in their relationships and that their relationships feel safe enough that they can not just get by, but let them be big and exciting and wonderful. And so that dog, I forgot to tell them that it wasn't going to last forever, and so that was a really hard goodbye. And I always wish I had adopted him, because it was just such a powerful like learning moment for me, even though I still didn't have capacity to have a dog full time. But I always look around in case I might run into him in Santa Monica or somewhere. He could just be there. And so ever since, I've always tried to be more mindful that even if you're going to throw your whole heart into this relationship that may not last forever, you're still going to be a really good steward of that relationship in the short time that it's in your life.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's incredible that you're able to turn this dog's life just completely around. Upon saying that, though, some dogs don't necessarily get a happy ending. So just out of curiosity, out of all the dogs that you've fostered, because I assume once they get adopted, there may or may not be a follow-up. Like I'm looking at your board right now and I see a picture of a dog that says thank you, so I'm assuming like someone's like, thank you for taking care of the dog and whatnot. You like kind of update. Have you had a foster dog where it potentially like someone adopted him, but you found out that it was not a good fit, or just something bad happened?
No, so I actually I think I've had a perfect record. Every dog went from my home into a home that they're still at.
Okay.
But I think part of that is just a testament to the adoption agency. They work really hard to place dogs. They do home visits. They do like a lot of evaluations to make sure that it's actually a good fit for that person. And if the dog is not a good fit for that person, that person could be good for another dog. They put them with another dog, right? Yeah. They want people to have a happy ending with this. And so they're really stingy about who gets to have the dog at the end of the day.
Right.
And a lot of these dogs will have 4 or 5 applications running for them, like 4 or 5
Really?
people who want that dog specifically.
Wow.
And so I don't know. I think that brings up some new options too. Is that all these dogs do end up in good homes, and we don't hear back from them again. Every now and then we'll get an update about how dogs are doing generally. Like somebody will be like, "Hey, I adopted from you guys. This dog is doing great." And so we do hear that, and people will come back and say, "Hey, I adopted a dog from you guys years ago. I want to adopt another one."
Aw.
We still have this dog, right? And so I don't know. This place has really good reviews, just across the city, and is doing a really good job. So I actually haven't had bad stories.
That's great.
Yeah.
Now, I want to talk a little bit about the whole shop versus adopt conversation. Like, I remember hearing, like, Abby or Ben saying, like, oh my god, I want a pit bull because they're super cute and they're adorable and stuff like that. And stereotypes aside about pit bulls, like, or just anyone in general, like, if they want, like, a certain breed of dog, I would think that you'd have to kind of shop for that to get like a purebred pit bull or get like a dog in your mind. You want this dog to like look this way. You want a dog that looks like that. You want to take him home, take her home, and just nurture it and just love it. But even though people say, "Oh, I'd love to have a Dalmatian dog," then it brings up the argument of adopt, don't shop. I remember talking to Abby, or I remember Abby saying like, "Oh, I really want a pit bull," and then I remember saying, "Well, you can do that, but you do realize that you're probably have to search for one, most likely." And then I brought like that. You already said like I really would like to adopt a dog, but if you want a pit bull, you might have to shop for that. So like, what's the conundrum? And then I don't remember exactly what she said, but it went along the lines of like, yeah, but both of those statements are true. So yeah. So what do you think about that?
Well, so I think I think one thing is it depends what sort of breed you're looking for, right? So if you're trying to get a dog that everybody wants, like a bulldog, you might not be able to find one at a shelter that easily. But at the same time, I've seen a lot of bulldogs at shelters. So most of the breeds that you're looking for, it's not hard to find. Maybe that depends on the area. In Los Angeles, because there are so many dogs, you're going to find every breed under the sun here.
Yeah, for me personally, like, I have a Bernese Mountain Dog, and I love them to death. Like, I've ran into a couple other ones, and they're just the sweetest dogs that I've ever encountered. And I would love to have another Bernese Mountain Dog myself, but that's kind of... I don't really know specifics of, like, rarity of dog breeds, but that's not exactly a common dog you see everywhere. Like, we definitely bought her, but I eventually would like to have another dog. I would love to have another Bernese Mountain Dog, but again, there's that argument.
Well, so, yeah, it's hard, right? I will say that as much as, like, a lot of times people want, like, a very specific breed, why do you need them to look a certain way?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, one thing if you're trying to get a certain sort of personality, but a lot of dogs will have like the personality that you're usually looking for. And I think a lot of times what happens with the kind of that idea of going into like a puppy mill or like going to get like a perfect dog is like, it's weird that humans want an animal that looks a perfect kind
little
of
bit.
Way.
If you think really deep about it,
it's super bizarre. Like if you're trying to find a companion, shouldn't matter like which of the dogs they are, because you can usually find rather than, I think, like if you're trying to adopt a dog, instead of going for a certain breed, talk about like certain restrictions or things you want from that dog.
Yeah.
If you're looking for a hiking dog, that's a lot of dogs, not just a Bernese Mountain Dog.
Right.
So get another hiking dog. Also mixed dogs like mutts, which end up like you see more mutts in the shelter. Those dogs tend to live longer and be healthier because purebreds are like usually inbred a lot of times.
That's true too.
So it messes with their genetics in weird ways. And so purebred dogs actually like tend to get sick faster or die faster. And so if you want a dog that's going to live for a long time, including a big dog, you get a mutt. Those will live for a long time and have less health issues overall. And so they tend to be better dogs.
Right.
Abby's trying to get a pit bull. Pit bulls are everywhere.
Yeah.
It is not hard to find one, and she can get one at the shelter. So it's not even like she has to go somewhere and get one. I think there's been a huge like encouragement that instead of going and getting a specific breed, one, people should be fixing their dogs because there are just too many dogs. And not enough people to take care of them. And so there's like countless dogs getting put down every day. The number of times our shelter has just picked up like a dog that has 20 puppies or something. Like, it is hard to place 20 puppies.
It really is, yeah.
That's a lot of dogs. And so that, we have to try to be mindful of like, can we really sign up to take care of all these animals?
Right.
And I think a lot of times we can't. So I would also be on the adopt on shop because like there's a lot of rescue dogs that need safe homes,
absolutely,
and better lives. And it's probably better to encourage less puppies to be born right now because there are so many that will be born automatically.
Yeah, I don't really know the statistics of like dog being born to like I don't know the statistics of like how many dogs are being born versus like how many people can take care of. Obviously there's always gonna be dogs around, and obviously there's gonna be people around that are gonna want it. It's just finding matches that work with them. And I had another thought, which is kind of weird. Like, it's weird that a animal that has been very, I'd say, domesticated in a way, how many there are that are still running around like wild animals, but they are still domesticated in a sense. It's kind of weird to see, like, I mean, you don't see very many like domesticated squirrels, even though you see squirrels everywhere, but
yeah, I don't know. Yeah. There's something about dogs that they just have become loyal pets. People always talk about how bizarre that we've just let one animal be in our house with us from now on. Like, just follow us everywhere and, like, sleep in our beds.
Yeah.
And we, like, do, I don't know, weird that you're, like, walking these animals around. And, but it's great.
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't live in a city, so I have no idea how many stray dogs there are.
Depends where you are.
Yeah.
I've seen packs of stray dogs before.
Really?
And it's so weird. Yep.
I mean, I guess it's going back to their wolf roots. I guess, their survival instincts. But, yeah, I mean, I guess that's kind of almost the answer to my question. Is just, like, I hardly ever see, like, wild dogs out and about. Probably because they, I guess, live more in urban
Maybe. There's also just
areas.
Such an effort to, like, reduce the number of wild dogs rolling around too,
which is weird because I can't think of me ever seeing a wild dog before, at least not to my knowledge.
I don't know
because whenever I see like those sad commercials about dogs and stuff like that, rescue animals and stuff like that, now that I think about it, they're always in like cities, and I never see
there's a lot more strays in cities for sure.
Yeah, and I don't know, I guess if there are already wild dogs in like the countryside or less urban areas, like I guess they get killed off or they die pretty easily.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Like there's also like you have in the city you have like people that capture dogs and like rescue them and whatnot, take them to shelters because they may be causing a problem or be like physically attempt or like just be harmful if provoked. We don't really have that in the country or just like in small towns, just
it's weird. You move to a city, it's weird what problems came up that you didn't know existed before.
Yeah
That's one of them.
Yeah, I mean if there's like, I figure if there's like a wild dog where I live, people will probably just like, and the dog's like terrorizing a farm or something, probably just shoot the dog down.
Right, yeah.
I mean, like, I can see someone maybe trying to domesticate it, but like, I don't know. It's
there's a dog, like
different
in a
vibe.
I feel like, the response is a lot different.
Yeah, like, I mean, I can't tell you how many like birds of prey I've like killed over at the night just to protect my chickens, just because, I mean, it kind of messes up the ecosystem, but like there's enough already around to survive, and they're just terrorizing my farm animals.
The one chicken that's left.
Except that one goddamn chicken. Bless her soul.
Bless her soul.
But but yeah, it's just weird that, yeah, I guess so. Like country dogs, like there's a strong, almost like caveman kind of idea, like you are my family, like you come live with me, we'll protect you, versus like I see like in a city perhaps, like where there's like maybe less of an not really less of an instinct, but just more of an idea of that things could just go wrong, or just like there's just more an acclamation of people where there are services around where they don't have to take care of their dog necessarily. I don't know if I'm wording that right. Just like I feel like people in smaller towns that own dogs, they have them because for obvious reasons of having a dog. And I look at some people that are in cities and see some wild dogs, and I can't help but think, like, why are they wild? Like, who gave them up, or like
yeah, where they come from?
Yeah,
right?
where they come from. And I feel like just the nature of a city is just a little bit more, I guess, rough and tough compared, which is kind of, you think it'd be backwards, because in like countryside's kind of almost like survival of the fittest. But if you're taking care of the dog, like you're gonna take care of it, versus a city, like I don't know. It's kind of a weird way to express myself when I'm thinking about it, but you
do. Yeah,
okay,
it's weird. It's like these things are like almost unaccounted for. Like, wait, where did all these dogs come from?
Yeah, exactly.
How did this issue like ever exist?
Mm-hmm.
It's weird. I sometimes like adoption agencies or shelters or animal control are just trying to like plug the holes in a boat, but not really fixing the holes.
Oh, okay, that's an interesting way of putting that.
It's just like this problem that's going to keep happening until there's like a better education about like where are these dogs coming from and why is there like a pack of dogs roaming the street right now by themselves?
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. I don't know if like there's like enough. No one's keeping tabs on it, and it's like a problem that I think because there's so much happening in the city and there's so many other things to focus on.
Right.
They're just trying to make it better. Like I was on a ride along with LAPD, and I was like, we would turn down a street, and I was like, wow, there's like a full on pack of dogs over there.
That's
like,
crazy.
Like 10 dogs running down the street together. And in my head, I was like, that doesn't seem really safe. And I like said something to them, and they were like, well, there's a lot of other things that are more of a concern over here, right?
Yeah.
Maybe gangs right here.
Uh-huh.
Like there was a shooting here last week. We care about that, not the dogs, until further notice. And so then you're like, oh well, this is just part of the neighborhood. This is part of the way things work here. So I don't know. It just kind of depends. But I guess I would just continue to advocate for people to like, because there are just mentioned, because we don't know where all the dogs are like coming from until we do. It's better to adopt dogs that already exist. Rather than try to like ask them to make a puppy for you.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Again, like it's weird that people want a specific breed, just they want something that looks like that. They want that. I don't know. It's weird, like human psychology thing. I don't know. Kind of gross if you think about it a little bit, but yeah. I don't know. I wonder if that comes from like, I bet that comes from like olden days, like having a purebred or like a nice dog that like brings status. Maybe I just definitely probably not thought about as much today.
Yeah. I think for a while it certainly was, but definitely less so. Like no one's like, oh, I'm gonna get this dog. They're gonna make me look rich.
Yeah.
I'm sure that happens some places, but yeah, I think for the most part it's not the case.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm still torn. Like, because again, I want a Bernese Mountain Dog, but
I'm just gonna Bernese mutt.
Yeah, I mean that totally works. And honestly, like some mutts look really real cute. Yeah. You can get some very interesting meldings in there. Yeah.
See what you can find.
Yep. Shop, adopt. Don't shop. Oh, almost fucked up my words there.
There you go.
All right. So you have any closing things you want to talk about for foster dogs, or just animals in general, or the topic at hand of shop versus adopt?
No, I mean, I will say, there's always these conversations too about whether or not pits are good dogs. I think if people are thinking about adopting pets, they probably should. But if they're worried about how they'll do as family dogs, you can always do like temperament tests like with professionals.
Like I've seen like good family pit dogs.
They're great. They're great dogs. I love them. They're some of my favorites. They're so cuddly and so good. And they do have a bad rap, but like people have their reasons for why they feel a certain way about dogs. But again, there's professional temperament tests that can be done to make sure that the dog is just a safe animal for being in your home. And those should be done for like any dog, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, I think like if somebody is like, young and knows that they don't have capacity to have a dog all the time, but they're wondering about having a dog part-time, definitely look into fostering locally, just because it's a great way to get some face time with dogs without having to have full-time responsibilities and costs and things like that.
Yeah, I think I might do that when eventually I move out, because I do a lot of work on computers, as do a lot of people now. Even like I'm home just quote unquote watching my dog when really she's just sitting downstairs and I'm upstairs on the computer like working on a project or something like that, which I feel bad about because she's not upstairs with me.
Right.
So I feel like if I lived by myself and had that situation, like, and I still want a dog, but most of my work is delegated to a computer. Like, sure, like I'll take like half an hour breaks to just play with my dog, but I don't know. I feel like bad if I do that. Like I'm not I could give it more attention based on like what I'm passionate about, or like projects or just general emails or stuff like that. I just have to be stuck at a desk to do that stuff. So that's kind of why I'm slightly hesitant about adopting a dog or just owning a dog. Or I'm sorry, adopting or owning a dog. But fostering a dog seems like a really good alternative to that, because as bad as it may sound, sometimes some like better suited dogs, like fresh off the boat, like you just said, you don't have, sounds bad, but you don't have to pay as much attention to them. They just need a place to stay. Yeah, so I feel like that's a good alternative. I might have to look into that.
And I will say too, I told a long story about Boots, who needed a lot of work, but I've had dogs, like the one I had, the small dog Ace last week, and he was already house trained, and he was super quiet, and he just wanted to cuddle. So there's different types of dogs for what you have capacity for, and so you can easily find a dog, even a foster part-time, that just wants to sit next to you and hang out and doesn't even want to play. And so there's something out there for everyone. Go find it. Yeah,
your best friend is just a shelter away.
Just a shelter away.
Yeah. I think that'll be about it for us for this podcast.
Thank you,
Kristen
so much.
Powell, thank you so much for being on here. I really appreciate talking to you about dogs of all things.
Dogs of all things.
And yeah, nice to hear a good success story from Foster Dog.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You can find us on Twitter at FlickYourBic. Obviously you're watching this on YouTube. I don't know at this point if we figured out other platforms that we are on. Hopefully we have, but Spotify, iTunes, pretty much anywhere you can find podcasts, apps, and whatnot, we are probably, or at least trying to, in the process, be on there. But anyways, that's going to be it for me and Kristen. We will see you in another podcast. See you later.
Bye. Hey, Summer, do you need to go for a walk?